Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you being here. This is the January 23rd, 2018 Ogden City Council meeting. We appreciate all the attendance today. That's how we do our work, is by receiving public input, and so we appreciate your attendance. We will turn the time, just for the record, all council members are present, and so we'll turn the time now to Vice Chair Nadolski for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will the audience please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, if you would please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. All right. First item on our agenda tonight is the approval of minutes for the closed session of October 10th, 2017. Councilmember Blair.
Yes, thank you, Chair Heyer. I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate, and with that, I would make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Blair, seconded by Councilmember Stevens to approve the minutes. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that passes. Next item is recognition for Idle Free Week. We've asked our new Councilmember Choberka, to make that presentation today, so we'll turn the time to her for that.
Great, I'm very excited to read this. This is a joint proclamation of Ogden City Council and the Mayor declaring February 4th to 10th, 2018 Idle Free Week in Ogden City. Whereas the Ogden City Council and Mayor Caldwell recognize the importance of maintaining clean air because this contributes to our quality of life and promotes the health, safety, and well-being of our community. And whereas vehicle emissions are a significant contributor to air pollution and release harmful pollutants into the air, which cause asthma and other respiratory diseases. One easy way to help mitigate poor air quality is to reduce unnecessary idling and driving. And whereas there are many simple ways to reduce unnecessary idling. Some of these include choosing not to idle to warm up the car in the morning and turning off a vehicle when going through a drive-through window, picking up and dropping off children at school, and sitting for prolonged periods at train crossings and car washes. And whereas vehicle emissions can also be reduced by planning travel ahead of time and using other transportation options. Taking the bus or train, walking, bicycling, and carpooling can all help to improve our air quality. And whereas those who reduce unnecessary idling and driving are able to save on fuel costs, conserve energy, and provide a positive contribution to the overall health of our community. Now, therefore, the Ogden City Council and Mayor Michael P. Caldwell hereby proclaim February 4th to the 10th, 2018 as Idle Free Week in Ogden City. We appreciate the efforts of our partners, Ogden School District, Weber Morgan Health Department, and Weber State University in helping to bring awareness to this important issue. We encourage residents, businesses, and community groups to join in this effort to reduce unnecessary idling and driving throughout this week and the entire year. And this was passed and adopted on this 23rd day of January, 2018. So I make a motion that we approve this proclamation.
Second.
This actually does not need action. This is just a, this does need action.
Approved joint proclamation.
Ahead of myself. So.
I'm glad you're new too.
Okay, go ahead. So we have a motion and a second. Who seconded? We have a motion by Councilmember Choberka, seconded by Councilmember Blair to approve this joint proclamation. And this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? We do have several members in the audience that are here to represent some of our new partners in this effort.
Yeah, we have from the school district and the Ogden School Foundation, and I'm not sure if there's anybody else from the Weber Morgan Health Department or Weber State University, but they could come forward too.
Come on forward. It is our custom to take photos, so.
First one's always the hardest.
Congratulations.
Sorry. I thought my water was sticking out.
One of you will hold that and stand and look. We'll try and be a good backdrop for you.
Sure. The tall one. I have to stand on my tippy toes. What?
Nice. He's got a new job.
Perfect, yeah.
Okay, who?
We would
one
love
of
to
you
hear
guys
from
say
you.
something.
Nobody told.
You could tell a Bart little boy story or something.
Yeah.
Members, I would just like to acknowledge our deep appreciation for the City Council for recognizing what really is something that everybody can do to contribute, yet so few of us actually do because we just don't think of it. And so the act of raising this awareness, as I had the chance to speak with Board of Education member Nancy Blair, she spoke to me about the experience she has with her own grandkids at Shadow Valley Elementary. And what did they tell you?
Turn the car off, turn the car off.
Turn the car. So if we can start with the children, making them aware, reminding the moms, dads, grandparents, hey, you know what? It's such a simple thing. Just turn the key. And what a big difference it can make if we can all do that simple thing. So thank you again to the council members for joining the district in this joint proclamation.
Thank you. All right.
Chair, if I
Please.
make a comment or two, I appreciate others getting on board with this. I think I've been on now for, this is my 5th Idle-Free Week proclamation, and Councilmember Stevens, I'm sure it's more,
My 12th.
12. And it's nice to see that others are getting on board and really making a difference. And it's such an easy thing, like you said, just to turn the key. Or I know that Chair Heyer and Councilmember Stevens have been carpooling for many years now.
About
so-
5 years. We decided we were going to kind of double up, and so we've been riding together to and from.
Every little bit
week.
helps. Yeah, so thank you.
First of all, he asked if I could ride on his scooter, and I said, that's not in the cards there, so.
It's an electric one.
It is an electric one.
But it's important for us to have clean air, and I think this is an important policy.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
All right. Next item on our agenda is a request to be on the agenda for Habitat for Humanity, and we have former Councilmember Kent Jorgensen with us, and
Jorgensen and Mr. Dan Cook. Thank you very much.
all right, thanks for being here.
And neighbor. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to present to council and, of course, staff and Mr. Johnson. Thank you very much. It was about 3 years ago, I was in a service club meeting with the Rotary, and Mr. Cook presented to us. And Mr. Cook is a local businessman. He, at one time, owned the Ben Lomond Hotel. He renovated and created the Hub 801, and he has a firm here in Ogden. He's an architect and a businessman. He's built over 600 churches and schools throughout the United States and even internationally. And Dan gave a presentation, and it really motivated me, so much so that my wife and I had a chance to leave Ogden just for a year on kind of an extended trip. We came back, and my first thought was I need to connect with Dan to see if there's some way that I can help him. And as a result, I started working with Habitat for Humanity, Weber Davis, and I made a contact with Mr. Cook, and we started something that I think is going to be of great interest to you. So I'm going to turn the time over to Dan to have him kind of give a quick overview. We know we don't have a lot of time. We have a PowerPoint presentation that you can look at. We know you can kind of look at that and kind of get an idea of where Habitat has been and where we're going, and then also a brochure that will kind of outline what we're talking about for these next few minutes. Mr. Cook?
Thank you very much. I have been kind of a business resident of the area that we're talking about for the last 20 years or so. Our business is located in the old Herman Sporting Goods. We actually turned that into an office building about 20 years ago on the corner of 29th and Washington. And for about 20 years, I would walk out the back door where our waste receptacles are, and almost every morning there'd be a new surprise of people sleeping back there. There's always new mattresses or new couches or just new things that we inherited. And for that long, I used to tell people, I used to say to myself, really, I guess I told other people, but when is somebody going to do something about this? And I finally, and we spend on the average about today close to $500 a month just hauling things back to the landfill that people leave there for us. And one day, about 3 years ago, I walked out and I was saying the same thing, and I believe God put on my heart to just, he said, when are you going to do something? It's your city. And I went back in and kind of put it on the drawing board and started working with a few of my architects, and we kind of pinned out the area from 36th Street to 26th Street, from Washington Boulevard over to the Wall, and really claim that area for redevelopment with private enterprise. I said, what could we do without having to get the federal government involved, without having to get Ogden City involved? And as we looked at that as architects, I've had the privilege of redoing quite a few of the historic buildings on 25th Street, and I've always looked at them as just this grand treasure that we have here in Ogden. And I started looking at many of these homes over there as grand treasures that have really seen some difficult times. And yet, those fixed up are the same kind of grand treasures, but in their present state, it's an area of the town that probably none of you, and certainly no one that I know, when they have friends visiting town, take somebody through that neighborhood to show off Ogden. We tend to go around that and stay away from it. And I talked to the police department. They said that is by far the worst area for crime that we have. It has more SWAT teams. It has the most amount of either the crime happened there or they arrested the people from that area. And so we know it's a difficult area. And the concept was that why don't we get all of the businesses around it to come together. So it's an interesting area because the boundaries I just gave you is surrounded by business on all sides. Some fairly major businesses, a lot of small businesses. And let's see if we can get an army of people that would get involved, have the businesses donate $3,000 a year to us for 5 years, have the people maybe donate $100 to join, and we'll start buying homes, bringing them to the life that they could have, building new homes in there, and some of the flavor that that area has and some of the architecture that has. And over a 10-year period of time or so, we could invest something north of $1 million into it, get an army of volunteers, and really make a difference to what's going on in that part of our city. And as I went around to service clubs, I had a great interest. I actually have had a lot of businesses come forward. We started buying a couple of homes, and we renovated those and turned them into pretty nice, very nice homes at this point that are rented out. Then I came across, actually, I got approached by Habitat for Humanity, and I'm just thrilled to have said, let's partner together. All of the funds can come into you. You guys do that better than anybody that I know. They can take a dollar and stretch it further than anybody ever thought of. And so we've now partnered with them to handle all of the income coming in, and do all of the construction, all of the renovation. And we believe through all of that we can take this really gem of a part of Ogden that has certainly seen better days and create it into really one of the highlights that we would take our friends through, and we would take our friends over to and say, let me go show you Ogden. Let me just show you what this really looks like, and use that asset that sits there. So that's kind of what we're about and what we call Ogden Vision.
Excellent. So we are looking at it as calling it the Jefferson Park, project, because Jefferson Park is in that area, and in the city it's called the Jefferson neighborhood. And so we're going to focus on this year about 75 to 100 homes to do kind of renovation, painting, maybe a new porch, a new roof, maybe some siding. We have 2 homes that the family moved in just before Christmas on 30th Street, just before Wall. And then we have a second gentleman. He's a retired military veteran that has a disability, and he's going to be moving in on, I believe, the 3rd of February. And then we have another parcel that we purchased on 29th and Grant, and that's just a bare piece of ground that we're going to build on. And so we're going to build, we're going to renovate, we're going to repair, and we have about 1,000 volunteers that are from all over the university, business. We're going to get the businesses involved, and we're going to get them for free labor. We're designating this as a kind of a zone, so we're going to get free, paint. We're going to get a lot of services. We're hopefully going to get in-kind services, and we're just going to try and do a big focus. We know the city's focus is on East Central, and so that's an area that you're focusing on. We're going to focus on this area and see if we can't make a difference and make it a place that will just shine. And so I guess what we're asking from you is one, we're just providing information, and then 2, would like your moral support and your cheering and your backing and helping us to make this a success. And my job is to go out and contact the businesses and, meeting with the churches, all of the churches, and trying to find needs, trying to find, ways that we can partner. And so we're working with those types of things. And I think this information will give you at least some background. If you have questions, you can call us, and you can, of course, ask, and hopefully we can work together, to help solve some of these issues that maybe you can't do just at this moment, just because budget and time and all those other things that go into it. So that's the presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be delighted to answer them.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Jorgensen?
Sure. Hi, I have one question. Just looking in the flyer on the who can apply, it mentions qualified homeowners. There's rehabilitation and repairs as well as home ownership.
Right.
What's the qualification process like? And can you give us a sense for who qualifies? And
Sure. Well, what we're doing is we're focusing on home owners. That's the main deal. And I believe within the area there are maybe 450 to 500 homeowners in that area. And so we're focusing on those folks. And then they have to meet certain HUD requirements. So they have to again, financially. And Catherine is on our board. Catherine will be working on a committee which identifies who receives, as an example for the home ownership, those benefits. And the nice thing about Habitat is that people don't get something for nothing. They have to participate. With a home, they have to log in at least 300 hours, so they have to actually participate on the site, or they have to volunteer in our store that's on 3111 Wall. And so they have to participate that way. As a homeowner, they also have a mortgage. But because we can provide the home at a lower cost, they might get a home for $280 mortgage. And so they get a beautiful home with a reduced rate that they can manage and that they can take care of. And then Catherine and her committee will kind of vet, make sure that the backgrounds are good and that they meet the requirements and that they'll be a good homeowner and that they'll take care of it, into the future. And so, and the same is true with, we call it Brush with Kindness, the home repair program. They have to meet a certain criteria as financial need, and then we ask them to participate financially. But again, they couldn't do it cheaper any other way because we have the free labor and the materials and those kinds of things. So we just are excited and we're ready to go. And I think this winter will give us a chance to kind of organize and set up and make contacts with business. And then as soon as spring and summer comes, then we'll be out there with hammers and maybe we can have the council come out and help with the project. That could be exciting to have your expertise as well.
I have a question too. I noticed you had some open houses for information. I unfortunately wasn't able to
Yes.
attend. I was just wondering kind of what the turnout for those were, or if there's other outreach efforts as far as like going door to door, or what that looks like.
I know we contacted organizations to get the word out. We publicized the information. I believe we had 41 applications from the open houses that we had. And so there's 41 applications that this committee will review, and of those, they'll probably choose 2 or 3 that we'll be able to work with in this coming year. And of course, if we have more revenue, we receive revenue from donations, from grants, and from revenue from the store. And so if we get more revenue, then we could do more projects. And so it all depends on, if we get lots of support, we can continue to do great things. And I want to focus on the corridors. I want to focus on, those homes that, we can turn around and make them just sparkle and shine.
Have you listed your service opportunities on the Just Serve website? And
Yes.
and have you listed, and I think we probably ought to be, Vice Chair Nadolski just kind of brought up the opportunity to do it as Make a Difference Day projects as well.
Yes.
That could probably be something we could do too. So
Yes.
appreciate the great effort you're putting forth for our
Absolutely.
city.
We've also been in contact with Bill Cook at the university, and they're doing, a similar project in East Central, but because we were Davis, we can branch out into East Central or wherever it needs to be.
Great, well, thank you.
Chair Heyer, I have
Yes.
a quick question. How do you work with the store on 31st Street and Wall and 31st Street?
So the store is part of the affiliate. So every affiliate, whether it's Logan or Park City or, the store here, we have the ability to have a store, and then we basically use the store where people can make donations. And so we have, you kind of think of it as a retail thrift hardware store. So we have lumber and doors and windows and plumbing, and we have appliances and furniture. And hopefully, gently used, that's donated, and we kind of, just vacuum it off and put it back on the floor or put it out on the floor, and then someone buys it, and it's just a great value, and it, again, creates revenue and helps people to get rid of things, and people that need something new, they can get it at a lower price.
I've wandered through there a few times. It's
Yeah,
pretty
so
awesome
it's an
place.
awesome store. It is, yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I thank Ken for heading this up, and I thought the suggestion for Make a Difference Day in the spring would be an ideal opportunity for the community to come out and assist. But I believe Ward Ogden could come and give us some information along those lines, too.
And he's here tonight.
Yes, and we have met with Ward. So we've connected with the mayor, we've connected with Ward, and we want to make sure we connect with everybody, especially you, so that you have at least the information.
Mayor,
Yes,
may I have
please.
the floor? So you were talking about trying to get our support to show that we're supporting this effort. I mean, this is such a major undertaking. I think that you guys, that your organization is doing, is contributing to our city. And I wonder if, I think I remember maybe reading something, was there an article in the newspaper about this
There was,
recently,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Has the first project started? Yes.
Well, we started, we're finishing the 2 on 30th, and we just purchased a parcel on 29th. And and then Dan's done 2. So we're in the process of moving. Because of the winter, of course, it's difficult at times, and we're just finishing a couple projects. So we're going to be moving on a few of these.
So I was just wondering if you may have, and we could probably talk about these later, but if you may have some more specific ideas besides the one you just mentioned. I'm just thinking marketing-wise, if the council might be willing to go out to a site. You talked about coming and maybe volunteering, but some public marketing event where some of us can come and be present and maybe send a message that way that we're supporting and these project. Maybe at some point I can bring it up to leadership and see.
Talk among leadership, and would be delighted to do whatever you'd like to do.
Perfect.
Great. It's good to see everybody.
Chair? Yes. I just want to say thanks from what I'm hearing on behalf of our city, but also connecting to Stacy Olson, who works for J Ladder. She has a pool of volunteers that, because we kind of run city volunteers through her. Also, she would be involved if you want to get involved with Make a Difference Day, having projects. Stacy runs those, so she's the contact there.
Great, thanks, Mark. That was
Thank you.
good. Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is reports from administration, salary schedule amendments.
Chair, Sean Choate will be presenting tonight, and the chief's backing her up with his hardware and I don't know if he's got a taser, so probably
Welcome,
no
Sean.
taser tonight.
Good evening. So as you're aware, the competition for police officers across the state of Utah is incredibly immense right now. So the proposed ordinance that you have in front of you proposes a shift differential to make us more competitive with specifically the Salt Lake market. They currently have 50 openings right now that they're trying to hire, and they're stealing our people. So this shift differential, it's 2.5% for afternoon and 5% for the night shift. And it's, like I said, an attempt to make us more competitive with the market. In addition, the ordinance addresses 2 title changes that Janine has put for us. Deputy Director to be changed to Senior Policy Analyst Deputy Director, and the Communication Manager be changed to Communications and Public Engagement Coordinator. Any questions?
Any questions for Sean? Yes.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm assuming that you talked to other colleagues throughout the country about the same problem. Do you feel like this is a good move on our part, or the city's
I believe
part?
so. This will make it, right now our biggest competitor is Salt Lake City, and this is something that they're doing, and so it will help us be more competitive with them, kind of align our benefits a little bit better.
We just saw advertising from Unified Police, and they're upping their game. They may be stealing Salt Lake officers. So
And they have 70 openings right now.
This is a beginning, but it's nowhere near going to hang on to our officers. We're going to have to up our game in even more to hang on to them. So when we saw the advertisement count yesterday, we all got sick feelings in our stomach because, they upped it in a major way. So I don't know where they're finding the money, but we need to get into that gold mine somehow.
Since we met about this last week, prior to the announcement that Chief Watt made to our officers, I wondered, Chief, if you gotten a response back from our personnel, and how is it being received? And
I have, and we've received some pretty positive response to both of the programs that we discussed last week. And then this afternoon I met with the OPBA president and discussed the implementation, and he said that the officers are really appreciative of these beginning steps to attempt to correct some of the law enforcement marketplace issues.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions for either of these two?
One more question. So there was 50 from Salt Lake, 70 from Unified. How many from UHP?
100.
100.
Salt Lake County is 40.
There's over 600 open positions in the state of Utah right now.
Wow. Well, I think it's, I think it's time we make this proposal a promise.
I do too.
Ready for a motion? Chair?
Yeah, unless there's any other comments, I am ready for a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2018-2.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Vice Chair Nadolski, seconded by Councilmember Blair, to adopt proposed ordinance 2018-2. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Chilberka?
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nadolski?
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
That passes unanimously. I hope our citizens are kind of understanding what's really coming down the pipe for us. We're going to have some hard decisions, I think, coming down the pipe. So appreciate our good chief and HR people to deal with the immediate things, and thank you for kind of helping to put the Band-Aid on as best we can at this point, but we'll work together to make sure we. Thank
Chair,
you.
I would just like to echo that. I think a lot of praise needs to go to our HR department and to Chief Watt and his folks for the creative way that they went about fixing this problem. So I appreciate the work and the creativity of what we've done to address this issue, and hopefully we can look at it further.
Chair, comment?
Yes, please.
Chief Watt, just one small request, and I know you're already going to do it anyway, but if you could pass along our support and appreciation to the rank and file, we would certainly appreciate it. Tell them, make sure they know we're thinking about them and wishing the best for them. Thank you.
Right. Okay, next item on our agenda is new business. Item A is victim targeting resolution, and we have Ms. Eller-Smith to present that to us today.
Higher council members, thank you for this opportunity to present this item. As you know, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a resolution that was circulating that we were requested to participate in, supporting legislation that Senator Thatcher was running at the Capitol. At the time, it was pretty specific about the kinds of items that it was asking for support, and specifically it asked for support of, quote, legislation. And at the time that we received the request, we hadn't had an opportunity to review any legislation that had been proposed. When we get a request to do a joint resolution and these sort of general things, we like to do it jointly with the administration to show a unified front from the city. The administration had some concerns, the mayor particularly, about supporting legislation that we hadn't seen. And I think it was a very reasonable concern. And even then, since we have had the opportunity to, the legislation has become public, it's still in the process, and of course, we don't know what kind of legislation it will turn into. It hasn't, still lots of debate, and a lot of things can happen at the legislature in 45 days. We, as staff, proposed an alternate resolution, and that's the joint resolution that's before you. And hopefully it gets to sort of the same concerns that Senator Thatcher is trying to address at the legislature. It essentially just points out that, you know, for Ogden, protecting civil liberties is a core value, and we want to make sure that our citizens recognize that with the creation of the Diversity Commission and our efforts to reach out to the undocumented members of our city in other resolutions that the council's passed, we have continually reiterated that position. The state does have existing hate crime laws or penalties, and I can say as a former prosecutor, I know that they're really hard to prosecute. And I actually didn't know this until I started reviewing the laws, but they really only go to misdemeanors. I only prosecuted misdemeanors, so I didn't realize that the law, the existing law, only addresses misdemeanors. There is some provisions for sentencing that judges can take into consideration, but the law itself just goes to misdemeanors. So we think it's would propose that it makes sense to sort of enhance that, and I know that there's a lot of other law enforcement agencies who have these same concerns. A lot of groups in Salt Lake County, the Sheriff's Department, the Salt Lake County Attorney's Office, all have raised this issue several times. And because it's hard, we think it's important that the legislature does something to make sure that law enforcement has the tools that they need to prosecute those types of crimes where civil rights are and civil liberties are being addressed. So basically what this joint resolution does, it just reaffirms the city's commitment to protecting the civil liberties, religious freedoms, and dignity of all residents, and it supports the development of stronger tools for law enforcement and the courts to address hate crimes. So it does not specifically address the proposed legislation, but it addresses the issue that it's getting at. And so I would just recommend consideration. Have any questions?
Any questions for Janine? Thank you. All right. Any comment or resolution?
No, but if I could propose the adoption, or move that I propose the adoption of Joint Resolution 2018-1.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember White, second by Councilmember Lopez, to adopt Joint Resolution 2018-1. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Choburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nadolski?
Aye.
Chair White? Or higher?
Aye. It's hard, we know. It's still January.
It's habit.
Again, yes.
Aye. And that is unanimous. I think I should probably mention, as this came to us, I initially kind of had a little pushback because of lists and things that seem to, I don't know, they kind of bother me, just things being in a list form. But I did spend about 30 minutes on the phone with Senator Thatcher. He explained the real problem and why law enforcement is asking for help to get some better penalties that more adequately suit these kinds of victim targeting crimes, and he fairly well won me over that this was something that was necessary. It is in harmony with what we have done with our diversity statements and diversity commission and other statements that we have done as a community. It does seem to protect all of our citizens, and therefore I think it's a good thing that we sign in on this. So thank you for all your help in getting it to this point.
Chair Hire, may I make a comment?
You bet.
I think that this resolution is it's clearly, in my opinion, something that's important for us to do. But I just want to tell everybody about the process that we've all gone through together as we've had these conversations about the issue. And I think that credit is well earned when we reference those conversations. And there have been times where we've agreed and we've disagreed, and we've had opportunities to talk together and to understand the issue in a way that helps us understand each other a lot better too. So I recognize the challenge that's before the legislature on the issue. I certainly respect their role in the challenge, and I'm excited that they're taking it up. I think it's an important conversation for the state to have, and I thank my fellow council members for having the conversation amongst one another, and thank the administration as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else before we move on?
Yeah, if I could make a few
Yes.
comments.
Councilmember White.
So, on my way down to our council meeting tonight, there was a elderly woman walking her dog, and a young woman came up, and they started a conversation, and the young woman was having a great conversation, petting the dog, and it just made me proud to see that happen in our city, and it made me think that we're the local officials that are touching the local lives, and one of the things that this resolution does is it encourages the state officials to look to ways to use different tools or better tools in their toolbox to make sure that we can do our job on a local level. As an openly gay woman, I've had friends that have been victims, and I'm hoping that whether that older woman is gay or straight or white or black or Mormon or Muslim, that we'll be able to continue in our city to lead in the direction that makes everybody feel safe in our city. And this is a resolution that actually supports what we believe here in our city, what all of you and my colleagues here believe in for our city, and that we push our state officials to do the same for all of us. So thank you for digging deep inside you guys. So I appreciate it. I'm proud of us. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think it's important for us to be proud of the community we live in. Since being on the council, we've had several resolutions that, and this is added to it, that adds to the rights and the protection of our citizens. And I think that's important for us. It's a sad day that we have to go through legislation to protect the rights of individuals, but that's the society we live in. But on our council, we have a diversity that recognize that we have other individuals in our community that are important and that add to our community, and they can share with all of us, and we can become a better community. We also had a law that we went into housing that we would not permit discrimination, and that's protecting the rights of those who live here in our community. I think it's important for us to protect the rights of civil liberties, but also religious freedoms. And some of these rights and religious freedoms are being tested each and every day. We also are giving to our community dignity, and this resolution adds dignity to our citizens. It also adds tools for our law enforcement to enhance the penalties, that if you decide to engage in some of these activities, that there will be a penalty that will be administered on that individual. But I want to let everyone know that we welcome everyone to Ogden. Everyone is important. When you come into Ogden, it can contribute to the success and the quality of life that we have here. And I think that's the big message that we're sending tonight, is that everyone is here to add to the fabric of our community.
Thank you. Okay, let's move along. Next item is public comments. This is an opportunity for you to speak to the council regarding any topic. If you'd like to say something to the council, please come up, give us your name and address. And limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Virginia Hernandez Areza. I live 20 Jefferson. Okay, I don't agree with this resolution. And I can speak because I'm very involved with Ogden City and the community that most of you, well, the inner city, the council people that supposedly represent us. It seems to me, what I'm hearing tonight, the citizens should approve of this, not you. For as far as I know, and I keep in touch as much as I can about your meetings behind doors to make decisions for citizens. It sounds like it was already done behind doors, this resolution with your attorney there. And what I get out of this, and when I would get the people more involved like me, probably would think the same thing I do. Your attorney there is naturally going to agree with Marcia and Luis. Excuse me, I don't mean to. Councilwoman Marcia and Councilman Luis Lopez, for the reason, and all of you too, is because I didn't know you were gay till it came out in the newspaper, splashed over the Salt Lake Tribune. Well, I want you to know I'm a citizen and I'm a Christian. So I hope there's no discrimination, which there is lots of discrimination. I have proof, documentation. There is civil rights being hurt, but you wouldn't know because you're not out there, all of you. Luis Lopez, okay, excuse me, Councilman Lopez, I want to keep respect there. You're going to agree with it. He's new, a man around the block, because when you bring up the word and you specifically said undocumented, I'm looking at this, I don't see it there, but you said it. It's not in there, right? It could be, but maybe I have to look closely. It's not, but you mentioned it. Do you understand? You don't. I get this since for a long time. This board, this government here, and I know it bothers you to hear the facts, the truth, but you're going to hear it. I have a lot of people who live in your district, family. But here's the thing, minority. Okay, here's the thing, is undocumented is a problem. I'm not saying I'm for it or against it, but it is a problem. And you've already decided that you said the word, and basically this is what this is all about tonight, is she's a wonderful lady. I like Marcia, Councilman, excuse me. You are really a good woman. I like you. But I didn't know that. Councilman, whatever.
Time's up.
I know. Give me a minute. You do everybody else. But anyway, I just want to say I don't approve of it, and you need to all give the citizens the opportunity to know what's happening. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else?
Angel Castillo, 1260 25th Street. I'd like to thank the council for supporting this type of motion. I came here from Los Angeles. I specifically relocated to Ogden because it is this lovely, diverse pocket. And the problems that Los Angeles has with hate crimes and also the whole gamut, it's a much smaller place here, and I moved here to be able to be part of a town where we can start small and we can make a difference. And so I support you publicly saying to state and federal government that you're going to make sure that we're all represented, excuse me, all represented, and you're not going to tolerate crimes. And I think it's especially important to give the police the tools that they need. I went through the LAPD Citizens Police Academy, and that's the #1 complaint from the officers, is there are certain ordinances that don't allow them to move further than smaller misdemeanor crimes. And so I think it's important to document that hate crimes won't be stood for. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Welcome. We know you.
Kim Bauscher, 2549 Quincy. I'll echo both of them, I guess. I appreciate the public discussion as well. I was really excited when I saw this come on the agenda, and I was actually a little bit saddened by the weakness of the resolution. I think it reads a little bit white toast. And I realize that the issues that she just addressed in LA, we don't see at the same level and rate in this community, which doesn't mean that they don't exist. But I think it's also really hard. It's hard here for a lot of different reasons. And I think this is a good first step. Councilman Stevens, you mentioned that this gives the police force tools, and that word has been used a couple times. And I hope that that continues to be the case, because as a joint resolution, I think it's great. It's a good talking points. It gets us in the paper. But I hope that this conversation continues, and I just am coming to say that I really hope that we hear more about this from the council, and as it progresses through the legislature, regardless of the conversation at the legislative level, I think that it's something to continue here. So I appreciate very much that that dialogue has been open. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no more public comment. Comments from administration?
I just want to give you an advertisement. Saturday from 9 to 2 at Union Station is our winter market. We want you to all come, spread the word, put it on your Facebook pages. This is cool to have a winter market. We're excited about it. We've got produce. We've got all kinds of things down there. So come and enjoy it. Is my time up? No, go ahead. So, while Kim's here, I just want to thank Kim for all the hard work she's done to put this together. This was something we were hoping to be able to do a couple years ago, and I think we're making huge progress. So, anyway, pass the word.
Yeah, thank you. Comments from council members?
Can I just make a real quick comment
Yes,
before
please.
Janie leaves the chambers? I got to attend today and with Councilmember Chaburka, the Athena Awards, and Emily Ballard was awarded the Athena Award this year, and in part because she's a great woman, but in part of her opportunities that she has led the Junior League, and there are two wonderful Junior League past presidents in our chambers that also carry on some great vision for women in our community. So thank you both for being here and doing what you do for the women in our community.
Thank you.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yes.
Just kind of piggybacking on that, I also was very inspired by today's Athena Awards, but also this past couple of weeks, there's been some really great community members that have shown up for a couple of events. One was the Martin Luther King Day Day of Service. That was a really wonderful turnout. I think double the amount of people that they usually have. And then also there was a women's march just this past weekend. People just sort of showing up to say that they value certain things in our community, and I just really appreciate that, because showing up is half the battle.
Any other comments?
Chair Heyer, was it Cassie? Did I get your name right? Angel.
Castile. Castile was her last name.
Oh, Castile, okay.
We
We were
were
debating.
trying to write it
Okay.
down. We didn't get it, sorry.
Sorry. Just wanted to tell you, welcome to Ogden. We hope you love Ogden, and we hope Ogden makes you feel loved. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay. Look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Blair, second by Vice Chair Nadolski to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thanks for being here.